Welcome back, Paladins fans. The Paladins World Championship North American edition, as we are already on to the semi-finals now. Gormizer, Agro here with the illustrious Gormizer, of course. And Gore, I can't believe it's already here, man. This is the semi-finals. We've got YeezyPogChamp up against Snappin', and this game will determine who is going to the finals with a one-game advantage, getting you that much closer to being the best team in North America in 2020. Certainly a lot on the line here between these two.
Yeah, and the fact that Snappin' had, what felt like a pretty easy path here. I mean, they didn't really struggle until Game 3 of their set there against Sanguine. Makes me wonder what they're going to have to offer against YeezyPogChamp, who, again, kind of surprised everybody by knocking Pickled Pepper down to the lower bracket. So there's a lot that comes into this, not just having that one-game advantage, which I think is just so nice for whoever is able to grab it. Because think about it. You get to the finals, it's still a best of 5. You only have to win 2 games at that point in order to ensure yourself the championship here in North America. So this has a lot of weight behind it. It might not be the end-all, be-all. You still have your opportunity to climb back up there, but it's definitely going to be coveted for both of these teams. And a little dangerous, because right now, I mean, Pickled Pepper is sitting down there, but whoever loses this, even if they make their way back to the finals, you have to win 3 without dropping 2. It is very, very careful work to do in order to make sure you can win the finals. It's such an advantage.
Let's look at it this way. From here, one of these two teams only needs to win 5 maps to be your North American champion.
Yeah.
5. That's all you got to do if you want to make it easy. Now, you still have the loss that you can do, and then you got to win a couple more, but certainly quite a bit on the line here. Let's take a look at what Snappin' has done so far today. For those of you just joining us, they took on Sanguine in the quarterfinals. A Sanguine team that clearly was not playing that poorly because of how close their matchup just was up against the #1 seed Pickled Pepper down in the losers bracket. But Snappin' made it look really easy. They 3-0'd them. The first 2 were absolute stomps. Third map took a little bit more elbow grease to get through, but this Snappin' team was absolutely popping off early on in their set.
And for a team like this, I always give them credit, mainly due to Penguin. I mean, there's a lot of highlights of this Drogas. I anticipate we'll see some of the Willow that came through, and all of the play that we've seen out of him, because Penguin is the one that is, in my eyes, maybe most flexible. This blaster player that is coming through and is starting to pick up these champions that other teams just straight up are not playing, that have been left in the trash can for some of these other teams, and it's giving them an advantage because, A, you haven't played against them in a while, but B, it fits so perfectly into some of these comps, and they anticipate it going into these games.
It's been really, really fun to watch what Snappin' has brought to the table, and they've got their work cut out for them now with a YeezyPogChamp team who many expected to be down in the losers bracket, but after a hard-fought victory over Pickled Pepper, the team that had only lost once during all of Phase 2, you've got to put a lot of respect on this team, and I love that we're starting with the Sky highlight because it really was the Sky that sent this team over the #1 seed.
Yeah, Yato Acosta, I think just in general, was a very key player for them. Ascension Peak was kind of a surprise map that they were able to come out and dominate as well as they did on. It was right after they had just had the floor mopped with them on Jack Falls, so I didn't really have a lot of expectations going into that map, but not only did they look good, as you mentioned, the Sky, but also the Andro for Yato was incredibly good, so a lot of flanks that are open for YeezyPogChamp going into this one that can make a huge difference. But if Sky plays as big a role in this set as she did in the first set, whether it's through bans or pick priority, I think it's something that you're going to be worried about. If you're Snappin', you have to be a little stressed out about knowing that they have both in their pocket and can make them both look incredibly good.
This is what all good tournaments do. They set their own meta, they make things a little bit different in picks and bans, and they make it more fun to watch. I think that there is no doubt that North America has delivered on that promise. Frog Isle is where we're going to start this semifinal matchup. Fish Market, Ascension Peak, Warders Gate, and Ice Mines are maps that you will not see here in the semifinals, as those are the bans for both of these two teams. And Frog Isle, one, Gore, correct me if I'm wrong, have we seen it yet today? If we have seen it, it's only been once or twice. It has not been a mainstay so far.
This is one of those maps, Frog Isle, that as much as I always qualify it as a standard, it gets banned a whole lot this year. Just in general, it has not seen the light of day a lot, although it did also get its little rework through there as well, so maybe getting to see it more often is in the works for us. But yeah, like you said, I'm not seeing it, not just today, but I mean realistically in the last few weeks, if you got to see it, it was considered lucky, realistically, because teams have been banning it. It's one of those maps that is known for its capability to be a 4-0. Snappin' and YeezyPogChamp, if you win 4-0 here, it doesn't really indicate much about the set, but if it goes 7 points, it probably gives us a little bit more of a note to go on, right? Finding a 4-0 on Frog Isle is sniper heavy, it is, damage boost heavy. Torvald, not surprising to see him off the board, but like Makoa, your Ashes, your Khans, your off-tanks, your Maves, your EVs as well, and maybe in some secret world there could be a Drogo's here for Snappin' if they could try to find a way to weave it in there. All of them can really work on this map and make a lot of impact.
Man, a lot of respect being paid to YeezyPogChamp Sky. They get banned from them instantly. Clearly, Snappin' got a chance to watch a little bit of what they did earlier on today and make their necessary adjustments. That includes banning that flank away immediately. As with both snipers banned, things might open up a little bit. Both Strix and Kinessa taken off the board, and Snappin' going to what Pickled Pepper has done a lot today, and that's first picking Makoa.
And this has been very hit or miss, but I think this is a map that Makoa is almost a must-have on. Think of Overpower that Khan's going to have, how important that is. On a giant map with Overpower where you can throw anyone off literally any edge, you're always available to throw them over the map. And yeah, you lose the potential to throw someone off the edge, but having that hook available to you all the time, that is absolutely going to be a benefit here for Snappin'. And now that Rom's locked in, I want him to lock in something like the Genos here as well, just to have 2 controls for that Rom, make sure that he's going to have trouble getting that dash off, and keep things going for you as a team. It's just damage boost and all comforts all around.
It's looking really strong, I think, already for Snappin'. They have the Makoa, they have the Genos, and Rom has been a character that we've seen prioritized pretty heavily early on in the drafts, banned a couple times as well. But it seems to me like there are clear counters to this pick. Rom has not looked unbeatable in every single game. There have been compositions where he's looked unbeatable, but clearly some counters are available. And Genos has been maybe #1 in that category, as Snappin' really get their front line locked in now with this Barrack.
Yeah, and I actually really like this. Again, this is something that a lot of the teams have been doing, but prioritizing their front line. Same thing that YeezyPogChamp are doing on the other side. You have your 2 frontliners, you know what you're going to do. Now you can work around with whatever DPS you want to maybe prioritize what works best against those tanks and try to burn them down a little bit better. And this is an area where things do get a little gray. I think Makoa and Barrack just synergize really well with Genos. Khan and Rom both have some similar issues going into these tanks, and I think that's where they're going to suffer a little bit. Khan has a good matchup maybe against Barrack a lot of the time, but their survivability on the side of Snappin', as well as their setup potential between these 3 picks, is definitely going to give some issues to at least Khan, who's a little squishier, and Rom, who's not going to have that dash to get away. I think they're going to find themselves in trouble just a teensy bit more often than they'd like to there on YPC.
Well, they're going to try and get some extra healing to prevent that from happening, and Corvus open. Normally we see either him or Io taken in a situation like this. Do you like YPC decided to go with the Corvus instead of the Io?
It's an interesting dynamic that I think I will always personally prefer Io, but I think so far this tournament we've seen teams handling her pretty well to the extent that she's maybe not in the same area that my mind wants to put her in, right? I'm elevating her onto a pedestal that maybe she doesn't deserve anymore, or at least we haven't seen as consistently so far. I think she's still really solid, but Corvus, especially paired with the Rom, the Khan, and the Victor, gives you that ability to just all around be more aggressive and not have to pay for it quite as much as you would otherwise. So I think this does alleviate some of that pressure, and you can make, a mistake or two. If you get engaged on, it's not the end of the world. If you get hooked, you will still be safe just for a little bit because of that Corvus.
Bringing that extra little bit of oomph to the healing, which is certainly needed, is now it looks like Snappin' is going for the sniper without a scope. That's basically how I feel about Shaolin. I mean, he's going to put out insane damage numbers, good distance, and hard to lock down at times. Not nearly as consistent in those gigantic damage numbers as someone like Strix or Kinessa, but with both of them taken away, I feel like Shaolin fits that same role well enough.
Yeah, and again, he fits right into that area of carries that can still do everything incredibly well. They just kind of fall second hand to some of the others, right? Like, Shaolin is going to do the same work as Victor, but he's maybe not going to get the damage out as easily, and his ult isn't necessarily as huge burst damage as you get out of that barrage. But a Heat Haze can change the game, now being able to move around while some of his abilities are being cast, as opposed to what used to be when you had planted way back when. That gives him a lot of flexibility, and I think he's going to be really solid specifically here against Koga and Victor, being able to win the long-range matches and maybe shut them down before they can get there. Along with an Eevee, I really like Snappin's draft all around. I think it feels really good for Frog Isle.
Really, really clean compositions from both of them. Pretty easy to compare. 2 frontliners on both sides, 1 support on both sides, a flank, and a DPS. Which of these 2 comps do you think is better suited here, Gore? Well, I guess I won't get a chance to ask you because we're getting right into it here for the semifinals. Snappin up against YeezyPogChamp. A chance at the finals waiting on the other side.
And here we go, taking down the Titans, YeezyPogChamp versus Snappin, a team we have yet to see actually play today.
There's no Titans going down.
I'm Fawn the Legend, joined here by my man Dolson. I'm super excited to see how this is actually going to end up going for both of these teams right now, as everyone seems to be taking some pretty standard picks. And Leon Shield, once again on the con, people seem to find there's versatility in this pick. And I even still, I don't quite see it. I feel like it still falls short. Breaking that shield with Wrecker, the longer the game goes on, the worse it gets for the con.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is something that can get punished later on as the game continues on. But Sin Cara and this con pick have been kind of synonymous with one another, and it's a pick in the talent that he at times has made work today. He's one of the big reasons that YeezyPogChamp was able to find a win earlier on. Some of that shielding helps him stay alive early on in the game here. So this is where that talent will definitely make its biggest impact.
Penguin actually misses the shot and doesn't manage to get the last hit onto Khan, but they punish McCall for being up too far. Penguin missing that shot means that Khan obviously is still alive, but they're at least able to get a different kill into a different target. Koga was down, now respawning and on his way back as Penguin tries to play over here by Danger. He's trying to find better opportunities to sink more shots into the opposing enemy team as everyone's dancing on and off of the point here. Barrick, of course, moves on, then moves right back off. Same thing can be said for Rom, but the hook goes out, brings Rom in, and they're finding the damage, but they don't find anything too crazy yet. They found the kills, but the percentage is still towards the side of blue on Snappins.
And we expect that. I mean, this Barrack's just going to have a much easier time standing on that point compared to a Rom, compared to a Khan. It's these big fights, the sudden ultimate swings, that is definitely going to give YeezyPogChamp an advantage if they can find some value.
It seems like they are finding at least a little bit of value, if anything. The tides have been turning towards Snappin right now. They do take care of Genos, but how much longer will they be able to land on point? Doesn't seem like they'll be able to stay for much longer. They lost their healer. That was their only opportunity of survivability here. That sustain is no longer there. Rom runs right on through. Ratatouille manages to get crippled and gets killed immediately. Maybe held the sprint a little bit too long. Because of that, they are now back in control. Khan gets burnt immediately. He drops the shield for a millisecond. And a second later, not only does he die, but Snap and find themselves with a point capture.
And really, you know, that's just a lot of staying power. I mean, the advantage of just having 40-something, 50-something% kind of passively building up all the time, just massive. I mean, you can even kind of half lose a fight in the way that Snappin did, and as long as you're able to fight back in, you've got such a large lead there on that point that YeezyPogChamp just weren't able to contest with. And now, on the back end of that mid, Snappin also have some ultimates that are starting to come back online. The Dome Shield just used, Heat Haze popped as well by Stigma. And this is Frog Isle, right? When you can capture a point and then suddenly this card gets moving and moving and moving and moving, especially when the attacking team didn't have to use any of their ultimates effectively in that mid fight. Things get dangerous here. And you look at Rom, you look at Khan, what they want to do is run out and get in your face. And that's going to be difficult to do when you're pushed back into your base on defense. This is looking good already for Snappin with a decent amount of time left.
YeezyPogChamp Already baited out at least one of the barrages, but he used most of it just to try and find that AoE damage spread into the frontliners. They find the pick on the Stigma, but they trade things out. Khan is down, and now Makoa and Barrick, they want peace. They want to throw hands, and they find 2 kills for themselves already. One apiece while Rom is in the back trying to see if he can take care of Genos. Ice block on the point. Penguin doesn't want to go down here as a Cataclysm goes up and gets brought right back down. Woodknock gets stunned, but even still, they are the ones in the lead here. Snappin' still in control, but the Entropic Breach is going to force them back plenty. And it's going to gain some space for YeezyPogChamp to regain their thoughts. Snappin' have to play the retake.
And this is a Snappin' team, Fawn. I mean, you talk about retake. They've got the utility to do it here. There's another Heat Haze ready. There's another Dome Shield ready. A through time and space could be massive. Ice Storm especially. This is a Snappin' team that likes to get aggressive in these types of situations. Obviously, you kind of want to feel out the waters here in the next 10, 15 seconds. See how likely it is that you need to use those ultimates. But don't be surprised if they start to throw some out and really get this payload moving in.
Well, there's one of them being tossed out, Ice Storm, on the sides here, really. Khan and Koga are where their eyes are looking. They're grouped up in the corner.
Man.
The shield is broken, and so is their spirit. 3 members down on the side of YeezyPogChamp, as they are now being void gripped. Ratatouille is the last one remaining that can even contest the objective, and they make this one a 2-0 on Frog Isle so far. The Dome Shield still being up, and they have the overpower on the side of YeezyPogChamp. So they have 2 pretty powerful ultimates on either side. The mid-fight can go either way this time.
Yeah, and really I think it depends on where that overpower goes. Sin Cara has not had a good game up to this point, 0-4 on the Khan. And there are some good targets really across the board. I mean, getting rid of Woodknock would be massive, obviously. I mean, especially if you can try to force him out of that Dome Shield in a way. But so much of what Snappin' were able to do in point number 1 was build up that percentage with Woodknock. So if you can kind of insta-give him right away, that's maybe where YeezyPogChamp feel a little bit more comfortable running into the backline. Ratatouille hasn't really been able to do the ROM thing either, where you just want to sprint way up in the back, hopefully find yourself a Shaolin. Difficult matchup to play into, absolutely, for that ROM. So I really look at Sin Cara and where this overpower goes. Unfortunately, Ratatouille again is going to get mitigated, so the overpower might not even be able to bring YeezyPogChamp all that much success anyway.
Seems to be a 1-for-1 trade so far. They still are playing by danger. The usual place for the shell spin at the wrong time may not be enough, but maybe he put himself in the worst off spot. You thought you had dodged the overpower. You forgot I had one more CC available. Makoa's going to go off the side here, snapping with 60% and YeezyPogChamp with none. Drops the Ice Storm in case he tried to push. Not going to go in, but Penguin can't say the same for him. He wants a piece of the action and manages to find at least one shot and is holding his own on danger by himself. Is now reincarnated, has just now made it back. Hook goes out and manages to whiff, so the cooldown is there, but they actually managed to get a kill thanks to Mwada. Tried to use the Ancient Rage, but it's too much, and they managed to even get 2 kills because of it.
Well, it's still an uphill battle, but this time YeezyPogChamp are going to have a little extra wind in their sails with that comeback mechanic. So you can see how fast that percentage is climbing up. Snappin' still definitely a chance to get in. Ancient Rage not channeled. There's going to be a through time and space soon. Those are 2 great retake ultimates. Watch out for the Entropic Breach, though. That's what I'm looking for here. Ball and Barry can definitely put that down and really separate the Snappin' team.
It seems like it might be doing his job as the Ancient Rage gets popped. He almost got killed through time and space. Goes out as well. Might have gone wide there. It seems like they're just trying to pretty much focus their attention onto Sin Cara, while the rest of them have to back up on the side of YeezyPogChamp. It's been a struggle so far from the Titan Slayers, if anything. Killing Pickle Pepper, the #1 seed, knocking them down in losers bracket, and now you have a situation where they're being 3-0'd. It's looking like how they were against their matchup against the #1 seed, but now they're struggling here, struggling to sort of find their footing, find their ground, as Marduk gets a kill immediately on the Stigma on the push in.
Well, it's just such a brutal draft, I think, for Rom to fight into. I mean, you've seen almost every time at the onset of one of these rounds, Khan or Rom has been the first one to go down almost immediately. And when you mitigate so much of that backline sprint in and dive that YeezyPogChamp have, you're left with, you know, Victor and a Khan without any front line. Stigma has been a big part of that, and the damage he's been able to output in some of the lockdown there as well. Ratatouille has just not felt comfortable in this one, and look at that burst damage. This has just been so much to contest against. Love this Shaolin pick, and it's definitely making its way.
Already 1 kill apiece, if anything, reincarnated Stigma. They find their moments to shine, and they manage to make it work for their team on the side of Snap. kill immediately. The Barrage finds two, though, manages to get Penguin Woodknock behind the Victor, but is in a bad spot. If anything, he has to escape, but he wants a piece still. He wants to take care of Genos. That's a quadra kill. What will be the next one? Corvus takes the penta kill. You hate to see it, if anything, especially when Warlock was fighting for his life. You can hear the flame already in the team's comms, and even still, YeezyPogChamp have a minute to hold on to, despite how well that play was.
Yeah, what an absurd play there from Wadak. This game is over if that barrage doesn't hit two and then Wadak make a miracle play where he runs in. The rest of YeezyPogChamp there, I mean, yeah, it's a penta steal, but the support was enough to get it done. And watch out, I mean, the same thing's happening again here. Wadak's going to have to go big again.
Penguin Stigma, however, this time he doesn't have the barrage to quite find like a double kill, but a beautiful stun as well. They're so low, and they managed to get it. The Cataclysm was huge. They found the kill that they were looking for. Barrick puts up the barricade. Can't last much longer because of the Victor. He is there to be able to try and contest. They're trying to stop him as long as they can. Genos goes down. You have the co-ultimate as well. The Cyclone comes through and manages to get the kill. They might be able to hold on to this one. They take care of Evie. She won't be able to stall for as much. Use the ice block as well. She can't make it out, but she was able to stall at least long enough for them to make it back to the cart. Doesn't seem like Makoa really wants to, though. He might just wait here, and he's not going to give him any more ultimate charge. I do respect that for the most part, as things do sort of wind down. The round is over. Yeezy do defend successfully, and that allows them to sort of catch their breath, see what they could have possibly done better in the long runs of things. And this is a look at the quadra kill, the penta that was stolen by the Corvus, by the way.
Yeah, but let's be honest. It was a penta, it was a quadra kill, 0.99999, and the last little bit of damage just gets ticked through there by the Corvus. And that's the turning of the tides there on that defense. I stand by. I think that cart goes in if Wadak doesn't go huge there. Find two at the barrage, run out, get another couple of kills, and then do 99% of the damage to that Makoa. The downside, though, if we're moving away from gassing up the good play from YeezyPogChamp, it's that they used a lot. No Cyclone Strike, no Cataclysm, no Entropic Breach. You're going to have the Overpower, you're going to have the Barrage. Snap and have almost everything. That Ice Storm will charge up quickly. If Snap and want to swing, and they want to swing early, this one is going to be very difficult to fight back into, unless Mladak finds an opening pick.
He's going to be able to find one. Overpower went through, doesn't find the mark, misses it just barely. As they're now are being forced back on the side of Snap, and through time and space tries to see if he could find a mark, a Hail Mary, if anything. Saw they were there, but they were actually pushing up by danger. So that's not going to hit anyone at all. Penguin blinks in, of course, finds the shot, and then blinks back out. The typical Eevee combo, if anything, is Rom runs right on through Barrick, knocks him up, but he gets killed. Ratatouille is down. And Khan is going to be the next one to try and step, see if he can contest on the objective, but he can't. He has to escape, but the Ice Storm goes out, manages to put a little bit of a damper on Koga's movement. He has to find a way out, but he's crippled. I don't know if he really can. And just as it goes away, he does manage to make it out at the last possible second with 72% on the side of Snappin'. What will they be able to do? Can they stall it out? They're looking for an opportunity to see if they can try and fight here as things are still winding down. Dome Shield on the other side of the wall just to prevent any sort of pushes from happening on the side of YeezyPogChamp.
That's interesting. I guess he throws down the Dome Shield there, thinking that if Woodknock dies, then the uphill climb becomes much more difficult without that Barrack. You know, maybe there's a world where you save that for later, an overtime touch or something, and you're definitely not going to have it now. Barrage is almost back. Cyclone Strike or Cyclone, I mean, it's almost there. YeezyPogChamp have the tools to fight back in.
He has another barrage almost instantly and finds the kill onto Shadowlin as well. This is the turning point that YeezyPogChamp need. They found two picks. What will they do against the Makoa on the objective? It looks like he's being focused, more so forced off of the objective by YeezyPogChamp's team. Eevee blinks in, manages to get the overtime touch. She's trying to stall as best she can. Now Makoa's the next one. See if he can be there, but Ratatouille is back on the objective. They're trying to fight things back. Ice Storm gets dropped as Makoa finds the kill onto Sinkar. This is it. It's coming down to the wire to see who will be able to capture this last point. Will it be Snapper or will it be YeezyPogChamp? As through time and space goes out, not gonna find it, but they can't up capturing it. Nobody was on the point on the side of Snapper. YeezyPogChamp are gonna take that one away. We saw this happen earlier, and they take it. They take it from Snapper.
All right, dude, come on! You're winning the fight. You have all the numbers on your side. Stand inside of the circle. There's a big illuminated circle on the ground. Walk forward and put your toes inside of it. In this game, it's near over. I mean, it's tough. You know, Snappin' are playing with fire on some of these mid-fights. I laughed at one point because we went to Mladak, and my man was just zoomed in. Just not even moving, not scraping. He was literally just zoomed in, waiting for somebody to walk from behind a pillar. There's been no pressure on this mid onto that Victor. It seemed like Snappin were okay with fighting everyone else and then turning towards the Victor there towards the end. And it was working until, you know, we kind of forgot, all right, well, overtime is off for both of these teams. The overtime checker, I guess, is back on cooldown, so let's just step in and convert. And now look at how this game has changed. YeezyPogChamp have been on the defensive the entire time, and suddenly they're very close to converting here on Frog Isle. What a way these games can turn around.
Yeah, it really has turned around because you see that they're almost towards the finish line here. The side of YeezyPogChamp. Monarch on the right side is still alive. They kept him alive with that burst healing at the last second. He got healed back to full. This gives them the opportunity and then some as this cart is rolling in. The rest of the members of Snappin have to find a way to touch, and they have to do it successfully. But Penguin goes down. Ice Block was there to stall. Makoa is there too, but he has no Ancient Rage. There's nothing that he has that can make this worthy. And Corvus and Victor keep it alive. They end up capping this.
Unbelievable. I'm like, I have no horse in this race, but like, I'm almost tilted on how this game has turned around. There's a world I think Snappin are potentially, we're in picks and bans for game 2 already if the small miscommunications maybe don't happen around the mid. I mean, totally possible. Some angle somewhere, I just didn't quite see the health bars. Maybe someone was somewhere that was forcing them. I mean, there's totally an opportunity for a reason that somebody from Snappin might not have been there. But on surface value, it just looked like they were winning the fight and kind of forgot to go back and touch the point, and YeezyPogChamp were there. And Fawn, it could be costly. We are now tied up after Snappin had, what was it, 3 straight points, or 2 or 3 straight points, whatever they were on the verge of winning the game. And now YeezyPogChamp, again, they've shown us against these top teams, whether it's Pickled Pepper or now Snappin, they are here to play this weekend. This is a 4th seed that can obviously take games and take sets off the top teams here in North America, and it's given us a fun storyline to follow along with as the rest of this day continues. Don't have the overpower. Hasn't been hitting, but I think that's massive that the overpower isn't here. No Ancient Rage either. Big survivability factor now missing from Snappin. I think this Eevee needs to find Victor in the back line because letting him stand there zoomed in, very hard to win a mid fight that way.
Yeah, they definitely need to find something as it's 9% to 16. Everyone's returned to their positions, but Barrick is going to be the first one lost as this mid-fight comes to a potential close. One of them has to be the ones that ends up taking this one from the other team. Snappin, they're just going to buy their time, man. They lost Barrick. They don't want to push in. They don't want to try and see if they can stall against Rom as he's gathering all the percentage for his team and looking for those earlier dismounts as the Dome Shield is there. He has the ultimate necessary, and Rom doesn't have Cataclysm. Whether he knows that or not, that is still going to be a very pivotal ultimate for him to use at the right moment. 78% to 30. They're still climbing. They use the Dome Shield just to submit themselves on some percentage for a little bit. And Tropic Breach gets dropped down immediately to see if they can get the counter going. As Ice Storm gets dropped in the back line. Beautiful ultimate from Koga to keep himself alive. They took care of the Makoa. Rom is there, of course, still trying to stall things out on the side of YeezyPogChamp. Barrick is looking a little bit dim. He has to find some sort of way to get out or at least from around that tree without dying because he has to be the one to touch here, but he gets killed. Penguin is now going to be the one that causes the overtime, but how much longer will they be able to last? Clearly not much.
They don't have tanks.
Penguin can't even make it on. That's going to be YeezyPogChamp's first win in this set. What seemed to be them on the precipice of defeat, they snatched that away from Snappin and submit themselves the first point on Frog Isle.
I gotta collect myself. We are. I
mean, that's fine. Take your time.
We are one red team toe inside the circle from being into game 2 already. In the opportunity, I'm just again. I need to go back and watch the replay there and see what happened before I totally condemn what Snappin did or do. It feels like something got away there, and you cannot give this YeezyPogChamp team a chance. They are good enough, 4th seed or not, to beat these top teams, and Frog Isle just proves that. What a game.
Yeah, absolutely amazing game. We may be able to give that to YeezyPogChamp, just like I'm going to give it back to the desk to get their analyst thoughts on everything. Aggro, what'd you guys think?
Thank you, Fawn. An incredible game 1 tone setter for this one because it goes the distance. It looked like it was going to be Snappin', but ultimately YeezyPogChamp continue to shock everybody. The 4th seed Gormizer picks up game number 1 in the semifinals.
Give that team an inch and they take a mile, man. It just feels like you cannot control them if you let them have even a little bit of free space to work with, which is unfortunate. I mean, Snap and control the majority. I mean, all of that early game, they just can't close it out. And the minute that they get their heels dug in on the other side, YeezyPogChamp just push back like it's nothing. I mean, well played from the other half. Look where the highlight's starting. They're down 3-0 here. That's the downside for them. I mean, you start at the end of this, I thought we were going to be done 9 minutes in, and then you get a great play from this Victor. Again, the barrage being such a huge key factor into this. Something I had talked about kind of coming into this was that the barrage, at least as an ult compared to something like the Heat Haze on the other side, which is the closest you can really compare it to, is just going to be so much bigger. It's such a better ult all around. Burst damage, especially on the tanks, but also on the carries. Really easy to confirm and really easy to charge up. That, along with that Cyclone Strike, just made it so difficult to be a carry or a tank on the side of Snappin'. And the fact that they started to routinely and regularly make those plays, I think just showcases why YeezyPogChamp were able to beat Pickled Pepper, and why, again, like Dave said, yeah, they might be 4th seed, but that doesn't mean too much today as far as I can tell.
Doesn't seem to. This team very well could be for real, Gore. Splitstone Quarry is going to be their next test. This one, they did play a Splitstone Quarry map up against Pickled Peppers, and I believe they found a victory there whenever they went up in that matchup. So this one going to be interesting to watch. You feel like Snappin' got off to such a great start. As you mentioned, up to 3-0, payload right next to the enemy base, and then being unable to convert. Does that make that loss easier to take or harder to swallow?
I want to say those are the hardest ones, right? When you control everything so far, so long, so convincingly in the first 9 minutes, and then it just all falls apart from you, even though you can find maybe some good defenses, some good fight back, and you keep things interesting. You never felt, at least, that Snappin' were truly going to take control of the game back. And so I think those are the ones that hit you maybe the hardest of all. And the fact that they've been first picked twice in a row makes me wonder which one of the 2 maps was their pick going forward into it, because one of these has to be YeezyPogChamp going into it. And knowing that they have that kind of control, if you win both of these maps, this is why it's so important in a best of 5, to win your pick and their pick and then force them onto their second map pick and things like that. It just gives you such a heavy advantage. So YeezyPogChamp are really looking to coast through this one.
It's going to be tough, though, because you see the Khan first pick on the other side, a couple of supports banned, interestingly enough, by Snappin', and this is what I was waiting for. A team bans Genos Corvus and then doesn't take the IO. If the top of the support leaderboard is the triumvirate of Genos, Corvus, Io, is this a mistake to ban 2 and then not take the 3rd for yourself?
Now, I think, I'm trying to decide. I guess Grover, yeah, is the next best choice. Long-range damage plus the root that can come through for Rom, but banning the Genos almost hurts you because Rom's on the other side. It feels awkward to try and make this balance, right? You have to now find someone, and some ones, you need at least 2 in my eyes, to help counter the Rom. And you have to deal with the IO, which is difficult in and of itself. Bulldozer on this team already is only useful against the IO, so it's not like it's giving you a lot of merits. If they had like a Ying on the side and a Barrack on the side or an Anara as well, then like you feel a lot more justified in it. But buying it just for IO, I even forgot Amani being able to buy it for her Dragon as well. Anything that could stack up on it to make it a little more worthwhile for you over Cauterize, there just isn't anything. I mean, now you're having to deal with Andrew and Vivian, 2 of the best DPSs in the game as well. I don't know, I'm liking YeezyPogChamp's draft more and more every time they lock something in.
Willow is going to be the final selection here for Snap, just trying to really go over the top with that damage. That's what this composition looks like to me. I mean, you got Cassie, Zin, and Willow already, and then Grover among the supports, definitely higher up on those DPS charts. But I find myself agreeing with you. Look at all the damage on the other side coming from YeezyPogChamp. Andro, Vivian, and Kinessa, that's a lot of DPS. It's kind of hard to answer. I kind of am leaning towards YeezyPogChamp going up 2-0 here, Gore.
Yeah, it's definitely I mean, that's just a tier list. Like, literally, they're just running down the tier list. I would say almost top in class for each role that they grabbed there when it comes through. I will say I love Penguin's Willow, and I think that can make a big difference here. It's definitely going to help deal with the Luna and Rom problem that they're going to suffer, but it's not the end-all, be-all. She also is able to go into things like Wrecker or into Bulldozer in this case, since she doesn't have to prioritize that Cauterize, so Willow gives them that flexibility here for Snappin', and she might be the saving grace for them to pull this draft right back into their favor.
Well, YeezyPogChamp's already taken down the top seed in this tournament. Can they make Snappin' their next victim? Game 2 would be a big step in the right direction. Fawn and Dave, it's all yours.
Thank you so much. Great cast as always, my friends, on the desk. Fawn and Dave back at you once again as we head right into Splitstone Quarry, a double triple DPS composition.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'm trying to find a way to phrase it that didn't sound weird.
Yeah, it's like a triple doubles, like two basketball-y, but like double
right,
triple, like
right, exactly.
Makes sense here. Yeah, I mean this is going to be, I imagine, high octane and high pace, and you look across the board, everyone kind of has a clear objective in this one, and you know, a lot of what Andro is going to be trying to do is fighting toe-to-toe with the Thin over here. Penguin is going to be doing exactly this, kind of staying on the back, trying to control some of that space, unable to survive the early dive from Yato Acosta, gets traded out. Mwadak, I think, is the big flex here in this game, in that you get massive long-range burst damage as well as some of the mobility. You can fight up on top of bleachers if you want, and move yourself right on back, depending on what your cooldowns are looking like there. I think Mwadak has the ability to take this game over.
I do too, and it seems like there's not much that has been going on in the back line to stop him, really. They're trying to do so, but shoutouts to Yato and the rest of his team for holding Lava, for holding Fidget Spinners, and not giving it up at all. They've been making sure that Mwadak is pretty much uncontested in the long run, but one of them does go down. Ratatouille is taken out. The same thing can be said for Yato Acosta. However, Stigma is pretty low, and they're at least going to be able to get one kill for their troubles, even though Yeezy have already lost 2. Drops Luna directly on point as Rom is still trying to hold his own, and Fidget Spinner is getting pocketed by Io as Mwadak is trying to crack that con shield. Gets broken, and he can no longer stay on the objective or anywhere in that line of sight against her. The Fae Flight is there, and they do manage to actually get Wood Knock on the way back in. The Fae Flight was used, but it doesn't seem like it found much value at all, and they capture the first point.
Well, you know what sucks for Penguin is that there's literally like one place he can fly in the Fae Flight, and it's by that like long arm of the crane, and you just gotta hope that Mwadak doesn't have a sight line on you. I mean, think if the end-all be-all goal of the Fae Flight isn't to fly up high and then pour damage down onto the Kinessa, you have to avoid her. And literally the only place that you can avoid Kinessa damage in a Fae Flight on this mid-fight is up behind that crane arm, and that heavily mitigated where that Willow was able to find some big damage. I mean, that mid's not necessarily lost because of a good or a bad Fae Flight by any means. I mean, YeezyPogChamp are just slowly building up point percentage as you'd expect with an IO on your team. But that's a small glimpse into some of those matchups and counter matchups I was talking about earlier on, where life is going to be difficult for this Kinessa, especially, or for this Willow, excuse me, especially if the Kinessa never gets dove by the Xin or doesn't get any burst damage applied in by this Cassie. I mean, as of right now, YeezyPogChamp are just playing those individual matchups better on the side, and I think it's paying off.
At least able to find a kill in the Yato Acosta. Meanwhile, Reincarnated is traded out by Mwadak. So now we're dealing with a 4v4 scenario with Sin Cara all the way in the back. He's keeping so much pressure on him, just free firing. He may not be able to get the kills here. He can't sprint because the minute he does, he's going to get Commander's Grab, so he's already dead. Ballenberry has to back up, but gets killed on the way out. Same thing can be said for Mwadak. They've regained entire control of a situation where they were being forced to play defensively. Now YeezyPogChamp, now Snappin' can be the ones that send themselves forward and try and get a zone long enough to where they won't be able to make it back to the cart on the side of YeezyPogChamp.
Yeah, I kind of look at this YeezyPogChamp draft, and I think it works well, obviously, in the mid. It's going to be a difficult. I mean, let me preface this. No composition is going to be all that happy with fighting back in across your own kind of lines into the mid fight when the defense is able to push you that far back. But outside of the Rom and the Andro, there's a lot of good pressure absorbers, I think, on Snappin. This Willow can apply damage in so well if YeezyPogChamp are having to fight out into her. Zin as well, Cassie right up in there. So, not surprised that effectively all of the time has been melted off the clock. I've seen some long caps, Fawn. I'm not going to call anything done before that overtime timer hits 0. This would be maybe one of the longest, especially on Splitstone. You got like 3 separate choke points to work on and 0 room for error if you're YeezyPogChamp.
It seems that for right now, Yato's in a good enough spot to make this accursed arm relevant if he decides to use it, but good old-fashioned shots from the gun might be enough to at least leave him a little bit damaged, but Penguin overall going to win that trade. The talent that it is that Blast Flower that
Vindication
is just too much. It's not going to be enough to outduel that Willow. They are going to be able to defend. So Snappin have tied things up at 1-1 with Mwadok at the top of the damage chart. Is there anything that stands out to you during that last fight, or during the mid, towards the tail end, that you feel like is necessary to mention?
No, I mean, really on the defense, things kind of fizzled out there towards the end, and really that one was set in motion early on by the push out from Snappin. And that's always, so I guess the thing to mention then is that Snappin played that defense very well, where it's very easy to get caught in the whirlwind of, I'm fighting the attacking team all the way on their side of the map. Let's just stay here and brawl it out as long as we can. And to an extent, that's an okay strategy, but at some point, and Snappin figured out this point pretty early on, it's smart to kind of back off, regroup yourself around your own high ground, and just finalize the defense over there on that side of the map. So I think the big takeaway there is that the Snappin team, despite a shock upset in game number 1, still here to play, still has their wits about them, and definitely not out of it yet.
It seems that things are at least able to make themselves a little bit better so far on the side of Snappin. They were able to at least get some good damage, but hopefully this second go-around of the Fae Fly around mid might be enough. They're grouped up and they have to spread out. Can't really do much. But Penguin ate a lot of damage there, more so than the Androxus and the Io did. They both have to find some sort of way out, but they're at least able to get the kill. Ratatouille does go down, and they've Commanders grab Rom right into the already waiting blades of the fidget spinners by Mineshaft. Io is there and has to find her way to Lunar Leap out, but all she does is leap into trouble. Penguin is there to get that last hit and make things a 18% to 72. As Mwadok has now posted himself up, at least in the back. They're at least trying to find a way to kill him, and it seems like Stigma will be the one that puts him in the dirt. That is going to be enough for Snappin to maintain their hold over YeezyPogChamp right now, as Androxus has to try and find some sort of way to get anything started, but he got looked at by too many people. Too much damage on the way in, and now Rom is one of the only unlucky contenders that has to try and fight back against that Khan, and they burn Luna almost instantly. So there's really nothing YeezyPogChamp can do here.
Yeah, it's great for you to call that out, Fawn. I mean, look at the lockdown that gets applied to Sin Cara. That's what this man is fighting against here. Even if it's, just a Grover axe here and there. Well rotated by Snappin there. The Fae Flight immediately found more value than I think the last one did. He didn't allow Mwadok to just kind of free fire in the back. Pressure was applied to the back line of YeezyPogChamp. And then the juggling of pressure around the point. Yato Costa, some nice shots there. I don't think he misses one. The juggling of pressure around that point was so good from Snappin, where they're constantly building up this pressure. But all right, let's shift our focus to Luna really quick. Let's burn her down. Once Luna's gone, we realize we have a small opening. All right, let's shift our focus over towards Sin Cara. If we can get this ROM out of the way, then it's just a bunch of squishies diving down onto the point. I think the juggling by Snappin there, once they realized they had some early control, was just fantastic. And now we have to look at the YeezyPogChamp defense. I think for many of the reasons the Snappin defense was good, YeezyPogChamp has some as well. I like the Willow, though, on the offense here to kind of match the pressure of what Yato Acosta is going to be trying to do on the defense. Next few moments are important, though, and whether or not this Fae Flight connects.
Well, it seems like for right now that it is working out for Snappin. So they're finding some good damage numbers on so many people, but Penguin in a bad spot for too long. Was able to get a couple good free shots on, but already Yato's in the back on top of the Grover and manages to get the kill. That's another death that ends up working out. There's no way he wins this 1v1 against the Willow, and he doesn't. Penguin is going to at least be able to kill him, but that's another stall on their healer. They really can't hold on as effectively but they're surprisingly doing well. Haven't really forfeited any positioning on the side of Snappin so far. Stigma of Combat rolls his way in, wants to be in a better spot as he's trying to find better and better hits onto the opposition. As they've now made their way into Mine Shaft, they're at least able to keep them forced back a little bit longer before eventually the Commander's Grab goes out. They catch the Vivian, but they won't get the kill. They at least are able to find things on Mwada.
Wow, and Woodknock is going to stay alive here. That's massive. Battle Shout, perfect timing to keep him in it. This would be a massive swing in this game. Yado Acosta, a nice couple of kills there. Give YeezyPogChamp a much better chance on the defense, and I might even just call that offense over to push us on to a 2-2 mid-fight here, unless Grover or Zin or someone's just going to make a miracle play from Snap and might see overtime. Won't even see that, but we are tied at 2 now. So good defense from YeezyPogChamp, and fun, we've really gotten to see both ends of the coin from both of these teams. My biggest difference is look at how Knessa has fallen down those damage charts. After the first couple of points, Modak was up top, and Penguin was right there in behind. I mean, everyone was very, kind of closing in, but everyone was chasing Modak. Slowed down significantly. I mean, still doing good damage, but 2 or 3 places lower than where he was on the previous mid and on the previous last couple of points. So, Penguin negative in the KDA department, but expected, I think, given some of the counter matchups that YeezyPogChamp have. It's all about doing that damage. And Penguin now is doing it on a more consistent basis than his counterpart over there in Wadak. So look out for a Faith Blade about halfway through this mid-fight. Again, be a big difference maker.
Use the scout early. Don't want anyone sneaking up on him, and it allows them to assess their situation. Overpowers him directly into Fidget Spinners once again, as Yado Acosta now has to back off. Doesn't want to leave himself in too much of a precarious position, as Mwadok is still on high ground. Has to wait for the heal for Io before he wants to peek again to put a stop to Khan just like that. Found the fully charged shot one time. If he finds another, whoever that's going to be is going to be on the receiving end of a whole lot of damage. But even still, Snappin are gaining percentage time and time again. They're not really forfeiting anything on the side of Snappin. They've been able to find the damage on the side of YeezyPogChamp, but Snappin are the ones that have still been remaining in control for the most part. Them getting the kill onto Zen means that Snappin have to concede their lead right now.
And juggling all the pressure around that Luna, so impressive. I mean, it's so often you see a team that has an IO on their side constantly leading in these fights to a point where one slip up from the other team is enough to just capture things there in the mid. The fact that Snappin are up 72 to 54% with a Luna on the other side, I think just speaks volumes for the way Snappin have kind of figured out how to play around this pick. Faithlight, this one's got to be important, but hey, there's the counterplay. Mwadok finds the snipes.
It seems like Reincarnated has to forfeit his own positioning. The units have taken this fight by storm. As the rest of YeezyPogChamp now can move up, get their zone going, make sure they can hold on and keep Snappin from making it back to the cart as easily as YeezyPogChamp were seemingly able to capture it. I mean, Snappin had so much percentage at first, but they ended up closing that one out, made it look like nothing on the side of YeezyPogChamp as dead zone, seedlings, everything gets dropped out. They're just trying to keep them back, trying to keep them and prevent them from moving in, gaining any sort of space on the side of YeezyPogChamp, but even still, they're trucking on through and moving that cart. They're in good positions, though. When they round past this bridge, that will be the story as to how the rest of this fight will go. But it seems like it's going pretty well for both teams. It turns to be YeezyPogChamp's advantage here, as they were able to get rid of their healer. That's a more priority pick than anything, so it's a lot harder for YeezyPogChamp to keep the push going, especially when they lost their healer, unless you're Ratatouille or you're on the Viv.
No way, he lives, right? I guess he does. Wow, Yado Acosta survives. Yado is back to the spawn of Snappin there and still survived. Nearly died there at the end, but Ratatouille starting to swing on this Vivian as well. This is the closest I think we'll see a payload get. Volunberry with the added benefit of Luna is going to allow to usher this cart right around this final corner. And YeezyPogChamp have some big ultimates to make work here. This one's going to get close.
Seems like for right now that they are at least able to do things pretty simply on the side of YeezyPogChamp. I guess they found their crux here. They get the kill on the Stigma. Who's going to be the next one on the list? Cart still rolling right on in. Penguin tries to flutter up, but gets fly swatted out the air. YeezyPogChamp make this a 2-0 against Snappin. Where was this during the phase, YeezyPogChamp? Where was this if y'all managed to hear this, you go back and watch the VOD after this set. Where was this? Come on now.
I mean, they were PogChamp every once in a while during the phase, I suppose, since they were able to qualify here. But I mean, talk about taking games to top teams, and this is not like limping through the finish line. You know, it's a 7-point game in game 1, but really, if you boil it down in game 1, it's a 4-point swing all of a sudden. I mean, you can, in a way, consider that a 4-0 in game 1 just because they won 4 straight points. Here, a little bit longer, as you would expect on Splitstone. And another time we're going to say this today, top team, a team seated higher than YeezyPogChamp, is on the verge of dropping down to the losers bracket. They got to win 3 straight. This is not like a game 5 where either team could win. Snap and have to win 3 straight games to avoid going down.
YeezyPogChamp are looking unstoppable so far. Definitely pulling out all the stops here on the PWC. Let's give it back to the desk to break it down.
Believe it or not, YeezyPogChamp, that's right, a team that called themselves willingly YeezyPogChamp, is now 3 sets, 3 maps away from being your North American champions. Isn't that insane? Gore, they are 1 map away from eliminating, or not eliminating, but knocking down a team as good as Snappin', just as they had just done to a team as good as Pickled Pepper. This YeezyPogChamp team, I don't know what Michael's secret stuff they drank for breakfast this morning, but they're playing lights out.
Dude, sometimes you just have one really good day, right? And that's honestly all you need. And in the case like this, right, even though it's double elim, even though there's a lot of areas where maybe something could go wrong, there's a lot of areas for things to go right for them. And right now, it is just all clicking. And that's the thing that's weird. I mean, Sanguine have already been eliminated. They were the guys that won the summer finals. They won in the bracket that was mixed up with European teams, Brazilian teams all in there as well. And they've been eliminated already out of North America. Now you're coming forward and you're telling me that the number 2 seed is about to get knocked down by the same team that knocked down the number 1 seed, and then one of them has to get eliminated. The fact that YeezyPogChamp are on this tear is looking good for them. There's still the possibility of a reverse sweep, though. Not easy to do, but something I think Snappin' has in their capabilities. It's just hard to discount it when you see them playing this well on the side of YeezyPogChamp. It's hard to argue against those numbers. I mean, Snappin' even have some decent-looking slash lines. It's just the damage numbers, and I think the kill conversion rate that you'll see on the side of YPC is just going to be better. Yato Acosta's only 13, 10, and 8. That's not necessarily stellar, but when you look at the damage numbers and see how it converts to those kills, that'll be the big difference.
Certainly one of the less impressive winning score lines we've seen here so far today. A lot of the games have been pretty much blowouts or ones that are close but on defenses and one team still usually running away with the kills. Not really the case here in this one, but you see what YeezyPogChamp's able to do just in terms of their ability to stay consistent in these games, their comeback potential in game 1 here, and now where they're able to control the vast majority of Splitstone Quarry. This team's for real. I don't know how else to put it, man.
Yeah.
This 4th seed came to play today.
And again, you look at it, and I'm going to go back to tier list of players, right? When you look at the names of the guys they're beating, when it's Pickled Pepper, you look at where Sanguine was, you look at the Snappin' roster, and you see a bunch of historied players who have been around for a long time, have been successful in Paladins in the past, and it's a little surprising on that front to be able to come through. And now you're looking at a team that's up 2-0. I had mentioned this last time, but it's a dangerous territory for Snappin' when you're down 2-0. You've already lost one of your map picks, so you can't guarantee that getting this loser's pick benefit for map 3 is really going to swing things around for you.
Jaguar Falls is where we're going to go, and Snappin's going to hope that they can make something happen here. They were able to take Jaguar Falls pretty convincingly in their set up against Sanguine a little bit ago, but clearly this YeezyPogChamp team is playing on a different level than even that Sanguine roster was in their matchup up against Snappin'. It's back to first pick here for YeezyPogChamp, and they're going to lead off with that Terminus ban.
I really like this, though, for this map. I mean, this is something, again, for if you're YeezyPogChamp, you want to roll back. The one map that you lost in such a dire fashion that had us convinced that you were going to get knocked out easily was that first Jag Falls map. This is definitely one that I would argue from what we've seen today, is their kryptonite. If Snappin win this one, then I'm just going to say, in general, is their kryptonite, and something that you should pocket for the finals as well if they make it that far. But they're already changing things up. You had mentioned not just the Terminus ban, but the ROM ban coming through, a Genos pickup at the very beginning. It feels like they are going back into the realm of comfort, and this is a map for flanks, so I think they have a lot of wiggle room to grab things like the Koga, to grab things like the Zen, things that maybe aren't going to necessarily be top tier on every map, but always work on Jag Falls.
Well, with Genos already taken off the board, Snappin decide to get a monopoly on the tanks that are left over, it feels like, with Makoa and Khan. But Barrick has gone a little bit under the radar here, Gore. Picked in a third of the game so far, win rate just under 50%. How have you liked what you've seen out of Barrick so far today?
As much as there was a point where Barrick got some pretty big nerfs, and I became a big Barrick naysayer. And I will admit there's been quite a few people running Architectonics, which the pretty hair that helped me learn Paladins in the back of my head is screaming his head off knowing that there's Architectonics being picked by anybody, let alone here in the North American finals. But he synergizes well with Genos. He's actually been doing really well in terms of the control he has. And again, one of the best at standing on the objective and keeping control of it, right up there with like the Anaras of the world, being able to make sure that he has that sustain and the damage to come through. And this is what I was anticipating. I was wondering if there was going to be an Ashe on this roster, or if they were going to go triple DPS. But not just any DPS, they go triple flank for this, which is even more leaning into the Jag Falls nature than I thought they were going to.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jag Falls, it's like, ooh, which weird flank are we going to get a chance to see that we won't see on any other map? How about 3 flanks on the same team? Barrick, Genos, and the assassin squad of Zin, Koga, and Lex. YeezyPogChamp going to try and win with style for the 3-0. Do you think they'll get it here, Gore?
I mean, they've got a lot of survivability on this. I'm looking at Barrick's ability to just get out of a fight, the same thing for Zen, the same thing for Koga, all of which, at least in Zen and Koga, have the abilities that have iframes on them or some sort of immunity that can help get them out of there. Zen has that whirl as well to be able to engage or disengage. Plus, the master-student connection in there. I don't know, the flanks are looking good. I'm leaning towards the YeezyPogChamp.
Could it be the 4th seed punching their ticket to the finals right here on Jaguar Falls?
What a map to potentially end it on as well. I mean, Jag Falls, the staple of so many different teams. A lot of people love playing on this map. And then you even manage to make things work out for you in a situation where it has the Genos at your back of a triple DPS composition. Dave, how do you feel about these 2 drafts, my friend?
I am more excited to watch how YeezyPogChamps does because it's just fun, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and you know, I think Snappin', they have the ability. Nothing really surprises me in the talent pool just yet. Snappin' move over to Storm of Bullets for Khan here, maybe realizing that a little extra damage would help out in this regard. But I think both teams have given themselves a chance. I think the fact that Zen walks out with Guillotine here is big as well, because one of the massive things when you're playing triple DPS, I mean, it goes without saying, it's just that you're losing in the health department almost automatically. So if that Guillotine is able to connect onto the Makoa or onto the Khan, that immediately solves one of the big problems that this YeezyPogChamp draft is going to be facing. I am more excited to see, just purely based on draft, you can cover up the names, if this YeezyPogChamp draft is going to work. Lots of mobility, lots of damage, lots of potential, and it's going to be fun to watch.
This is definitely the time to bring out all the stops here. Counter goes up around the corner, try to see if he can stop the Shaolin as Khan decides to make his way by Sun. Shield up, being pushed slowly but surely. He's trying to find his way in. The battle shout to get him in there. Now how will they proceed? They manage to take off Yara Acosta in the very first run of things. Beautiful commander's grab from Woodknock. Manages to catch out the Barrack, who's trying to escape. And now they've got their eyes set on the remaining members of YeezyPogChamp. They've taken them out one after the other. Now they have a zone and they have the potential for dismounts. I don't think YeezyPogChamp are going to be able to make it back against Snappin'. Wow. Don't know of anyone that really can make it back to touch. If anything, they've got their dismounts, they've got the lead, they've got the time, and now as of 99%, they've got the point.
And you know, I truly, I mean, obviously more excited, I should say, more interested in the YeezyPogChamp draft just because it's a little bit more unconventional. But unconventional doesn't always mean it's going to work out every single time. I mean, there was so much damage flying on through. I think this Grover got some great value in that first mid-fight. I mean, it took a while. I mean, it was, what, 50, 60, 70% on the point before first blood rolled through for Snappin'. You can just see how some of the survivability and some of the health bars are going to cause problems for this YeezyPogChamp draft. I'm not saying that's how it will always go. I'm not saying that, you know, it's all said and done and Snappin' win every single mid-fight from this point forward. But in kind of that small vacuum, we saw that the Grover's going to do a good job of sustaining up all of those tanks all at once. And Shaolin and Androxus can do massive damage as well. Yeah, you don't have a Genos. Yeah, you don't have a third DPS on your team, but they can keep up absolutely in that damage department. And they're going to be dealing damage to squishier targets. So this is not a Snappin' draft I think you can count out. This is where things get fishy, though. When YeezyPogChamp can utilize that mobility and force you to be uncomfortable.
No, it seems like he wants to move to the back, though. No way does he actually live. Beautiful. I love how he played that. That was so good. Genos lifting him up. Monarch playing directly beneath his feet, moving in and out of lines of sight, trying to get him to guess where he's going to go, because Androxus has to predict where he's going to be in that situation instead of just tracking him evenly. Beautifully played by Monarch. Beautiful void grip from Genos as well. Yato Acosta finds the kill directly onto Androxus. Ballenberry does go down. That is going to put a stall on things, but you've got plenty of focus fire onto the Makoa, and he has to use the Ancient Rage, but he doesn't quite find the time to quite use it either, as they're forcing him back. Shield gets broken. Khan is going to get taken out. Now this is where YeezyPogChamp's team starts to take into effect. You got the triple DPS with the Genos pocket, and you see how much damage they can do and how overwhelming it can be if you're caught at a bad time.
I mean, none of this all that surprising. Most surprising on the damage chart is the fact that Androxus is second to last beneath literally everyone else in the game. Grover has 2,000 more damage than what Andro has done for Snap, and I imagine he'll climb just a little bit. Yeah, so he's jumped up one spot there with the accursed arm. But the fact that there's been such good mitigation put into this Androxus, Andro just hasn't been able to keep up with any of his 1v1s off to the side, so that's massive now for YeezyPogChamp. And keeping that ball rolling is going to be important. But this is where things get difficult. You don't have the ability to rotate around, utilize a lot of that mobility when you're pushed all the way back into your base. This cart has a decent amount to go, but you're fighting in a straight line as a bunch of people who don't want to be fighting in straight lines against this Snappa team that's just going to walk itself in. This one has a very good chance of going in, but neither team can make a mistake.
They at least force things out in terms of the dome shield. The whole 9 yards, every single ultimate that you can possibly imagine. And they still have 2 in the reserve bank for both squads. They get the pull in onto the Koga. They're trying to find the last kill, but they're already in the back. They even turn things around despite so many pivotal ultimates being used on the side of YeezyPogChamp. Koga can't live for much longer, and I'm pretty sure Barrett can't either. He's being looked at by too many people on the side of Snappin'. Turns to the left, gets the shot at 2-0. You hate that. Yeah, they even used the through time and space. They did that as a Hail Mary. They wanted to try and see if they could stop anyone from pushing in the cart. They only have 1 ultimate left, and it's the guillotine.
That is brutal. I mean, there was massive roots there from Bones. This Grover, I think, has just had huge value for this Snappin' team. Obviously, the healing numbers are going to be good. Yeah, look at that. I mean, this is where you have to take into account there's obviously higher potential for healing just because you have a Khan and a Makoa on your team. 1 less tank for Ballenberry to heal up, so not surprising there. But you're doing 21,000, 23 or 24 with the Khan Battle Shout healing in there as well. More. Those are huge numbers. Can the triple DPS numbers kind of overtake that? For the moment, you'd say yes, and it's not particularly all that close. But Snappin' have just counterplayed a lot of this so well. They have so much lockdown. The crippling throws from Bones have just been huge in setting up big kills for the Snappin' team.
Seems like for now, the rest of them might be in a bad spot. Sinkar is killed next over the back of a good overpower to start things off on the side of Snappin'. Forcing the remaining members of YeezyPogChamp back. A cursed arm flies high into the sky, knows he's there for an opportunity, but doesn't quite find the damage he may have been looking for. Koga is there at least to see if he can put a stop to things as the guillotine gets used, but I believe it missed. He had to reposition himself with it. Doesn't want to quite use it yet. Koga has the ultimate. He's going to use it on point. He's just trying to stall. They managed to get the Makoa on the side as well. As Ratatouille goes down. Sigma puts up the reversal, trying to see if he can find a way out. Needs to regroup with his team as they're falling by the dozen. YeezyPogChamp are going to be able to get a couple more kills. They get rid of Mwadok as well. Barrick, the only member remaining that can contest on point, as Ball and Barry has given up. And now that means that things are 3-0 for Snappin already, turning things around. This could be the first point they get in this set against a very dominant YeezyPogChamp.
I mean, I guess Snappin heard all the gas we were throwing YeezyPogChamp's way and wanted to be in that conversation a little bit. They want to be in the finals here. Again, hill to climb. This is game number 1 of 3 that Snappin need to win, but you got to take it one game at a time, and that's what this team is doing. I think Stigma's had a big turnaround in this game. Very low on the damage charts for a while there. Would not considering jumping off. I think Penguin maybe made him think twice. There's another route for you. That one's going to work out. Another hook back in. This is what I talk about when I talk about lockdown. Yes, there's mobility. Yes, there's damage for YeezyPogChamp. You've got a hook. You've got Commander's Grab. You've got a crippling axe. I mean, you've got a Shaolin. I mean, there's just so much that Snappin can use to lock in that mobility that's just paying off.
Seems like Snappin are definitely taking advantage of that. They even have the Whirlwind up and available to their team. This is it. I mean, YeezyPogChamp, if they want to still have a chance to fight, they've got to hold them off here for another minute and 20. That is no tall task, as they immediately use the spite and get the kill onto Woodknock. That's one member down. How will they handle the rest of them as they immediately try to move in? Guillotine is the only ultimate used, but Whirlwind, a cursed arm were used and found nothing, and they even lose. One more of their members, Ratatouille, pushed up a little bit too far and gets picked off. The remaining members of Snappin, or the respawning members of Snappin, excuse me, are coming back, mounted up and ready to fight. As there's only a minute left. They managed to shave off 20 seconds, but you still got another 50 that you have to keep in mind. You have to hold off Snappin for. They have the overpower, they have the heat haze. Ancient Rage is being built up too. There's so many ults that could come into play here. Snappin is trying to end things right here and right now. They want to see if they can get at least 1 point up onto the board as Khan tries to move in. He misses the overpower as well. That's going to be so unfortunate. But Ratatouille goes down. Barrett has to move off of the point. No objective available through time and space. Manages to not find one. And Mwadok's going to be in the back. He's getting the kill. They have to try and peel back to deal with it. Penguin with a double kill. And now Zen's the only one remaining on the point. Can he stall? No one else is there. Snappin take this one and make this a 1-2 score and get their first point in the set.
Like, they're here to play. I mean, this YeezyPogChamp team is good. They've shown us that they are good. But the Snappin team, we still have, Pickled Pepper moving their way through the lower bracket. We'll see them in our next set. But the Snappin team should have been, I don't know where we stand now, the favorites coming into this matchup. They have the potential to do things like this to teams like YeezyPogChamp, despite on how well they've been playing up to this point here this weekend. Big comeback potential now. You got to win 2 more, but this is a Snappin team that can internalize all that. They can take this one game at a time and realize, let's just worry about this next one, then we worry about the next one. They're not looking 2 games down the road. We got to start with 1, and they've got it on the board.
Well, let's see after this break if they can end up making the comeback they need to cement themselves to tie things up against YeezyPogChamp. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Snappin stays alive. Jaguar Falls officially now the kryptonite of YeezyPogChamp. We've already decided it's done. You can't say anything else about it, but you can say that Snappin has shown some signs of life. But Gord, the way that they've played and the way that YeezyPogChamp has played, I don't know that we can really feel that comfortable about Snappin's chances as this set continues.
I mean, we saw this towards the end of YeezyPogChamp's first set too, right? Where they get 4-0'd and we're like, I don't know, it seems like things might balance out now, and then they just absolutely demolished on Fish Market. So I think there's still some room for them to grow and continue going in the direction they have been. But that was good from Snappin. I don't want to discredit them. I think this is like the best way to start going forward, right? I mean, if you're going to get your back pushed against the wall, no choice but to continue winning and to win 3 maps in a row, you better do it as 4-0s, because you need something to convince, and not only the people watching and us, but realistically yourselves in there as well, that you deserve that spot in the finals and that game advantage that you'll get because you come from the top bracket. I think this is a really good path for them to take, but again, it's a map that so far has proven to be pretty weak for YeezyPogChamp, which, by the way, if you guys make it to the finals or not, ban Jag Falls as a rule of thumb. I think it's worthwhile to get rid of this one and just try to find the way to control it. Otherwise, Snappin need more like that. The problem is the maps that I think of when I think Jag Falls either aren't available, which is, you know, something like Bright Marsh, or they've kind of already played on, which the closest I could come to is maybe Frog Isle. Stone Keep could also fall in a very similar vein, at least in terms of how you want to tackle it. I think this is just one that Penguin had a really solid game, and when I say really solid, I mean above and beyond what you would expect out of a Shaolin here, and everybody kind of got to fall in line because the rest of the team really did just make an impact for him.
Impressive stuff from Snappin, and as you said, that's exactly what they needed to happen, because it has been anything but impressive in the first 2 maps of this set. Wonder what else they could pick and really get ready for, because now the map selection goes back to YeezyPogChamp, a team that they know they've got at least 2 more in hand. Not an easy task to be in here if you're Snappin. Looks like we're going to be heading to the Shattered Desert here in game number 4, a map that has been banned a little bit today and been picked a little bit today and has ended up with some pretty close and important games on it when we have seen it.
Yeah, this is one that it's such an interesting map to try and tackle because of the fact that so much is available here, so much can change it the way you approach a fight. You know, we started this and it was every flank, very similar to what we just saw. Actually, a draft from YeezyPogChamp that we just saw in Jag Falls could actually be realistic here when we first saw this map come through. There was this massive merry-go-round at the very beginning of the round where the teams would tackle each other, but I feel like a lot of people have got this under their belt. You typically choose this map, at least in my mind nowadays, if you know what you're doing. It is not one you go to because you think it could maybe like smooth things out. You don't go to it as, you know, what we see Ice Mines and like Splitstone as the great equalizer. You go to this map because you are like, all right, you won't be able to play this as well as we will, so we are going to take you here and just beat you down one more time, guarantee the set.
Can do just about anything on this map, so this draft should be pretty interesting as Io, the first character banned here by YeezyPogChamp. We've seen teams be willing to go heavy on the support bans, but won't be the case here for the team that's up 2-1. They ban Io and then Rom, leaving Snappin with a Torvald ban and a Sky ban, as Sky continues to get permabanned against this YeezyPogChamp squad, which opens up the draft. They can do a lot of things here with the first pick. Khan, Makoa, both open. Khan's going to be the pick.
I like the start. Again, I think it comes through. The one issue that I think Snappin are having to tackle is the same thing we saw earlier. Is you got to ban that Sky. I mean, you're giving it a lot of respect. It's been banned all 3 games. There are now 4 games that we've come through. So it's kind of stacking up as time goes on that maybe we won't get to see again why it was so ban-worthy. But because of that, you are always left with something available. Right now it's Corvus Genos, and you go Barry Grover. Like, you are very hard in on getting that Grover Grover. Great on this map, but there is always that downside that maybe they want the Genos. Maybe they go Khan, Vivian, grab themselves a Genos and have that flexibility. Even something like a Victor that could come through a little bit later. A lot of flexibility in terms of their DPS here. And because of the way this comp goes, they get to see 4/5 of what Snap'n have before deciding if they flex into a triple DPS or if they go for something more standard.
Well, it seems like they're going to just wait it out and see what Snap'n's going to lock in. Vivian and Genos, two pretty good wait-and-see type of selections, can fit just about any sort of draft you want to do. As Snap'n have Barrack, Grover, Cassie, and now the Makoa. So plenty of front line, some big health bars that you would have to chew through here on YeezyPogChamp. But some inconsistent terms of damage, at least coming from this Makoa. We've seen him be pretty hit or miss so far today, Gore.
Yeah, and it all comes down not just to him, but realistically the hook. If the hook hits, then he hits. If the hook misses, he misses. It's just the entirety of the kit that is very reliant on that. And what I like is the way YeezyPogChamp go for it. Khan, not crazy mobile. He's not going to be dodging hooks like he's Neo. Same thing goes for Vivian. Same thing goes for Genos. They're pretty much easy to lock down there for Koa. Koga and Andro, they're zooming around this map. They're going to be very difficult for Makoa to consistently land hooks on. And that's, I think, where the Shaolin comes through. He's pretty good, him and Cassie as well, pretty good at being anti-flanks. Not quite at the level that we know Leon to be, but still really solid at helping deal with Andro and Koga. And I think those two, the carries for Snap'n, have to absolutely pop off this game to make sure that those others on YeezyPogChamp get locked down. But even then, you're only dealing with 2/3 of the problem. There's a Vivian behind them.
Don't forget, last map on Jaguar Falls, it was triple flank for YeezyPogChamp, and Penguin on this Shaolin absolutely stuffed them on Jaguar Falls. Can he do it again here on Shattered Desert? And can Snap'n force us to a Game 5 finals berth on the line here on the Shattered Desert?
I'm so excited to see this, man. I mean, I've consistently been smiling most of today, not only because of the awesome PWC matches we've seen so far, but also because of this game, the underdog story. YeezyPogChamp versus Snap'n, the 4th seed versus all the other seeds above them. Nothing that you would have expected at all for them to be able to come through and really provide a lot. But interesting that they went for the suspect everyone on the side of Vivian. They have a Genos. Why the suspect everyone, David? Do you have an idea?
It just seems like more survivability maybe against the Shaolin or the Cassie or some of the burst damage that they're going to provide. If Mwadak is able to go toe-to-toe with those two on a more effective basis, that's actually going to put Snap'n in a pretty uncomfortable spot. So it's just a mindset of I think I'm going to be 1v1ing or I'm going to be dueling somebody a little bit more consistently. There's some burst damage for you for first blood over to Snap'n. Just seems like the mindset from Mwadak is that I'm going to be eating a lot of those. You see his health bar already dip way down, so maybe a little extra survivability will help me out.
Yeah, it seems like so far things have been going pretty well for Snap'n as they manage to get themselves 60% once again. Things are just becoming rougher and rougher for them to try and see if they can pull out this triple DPS composition once again. They're finding the damage, but the Grover healing is keeping them alive for far too long. But Makoa might be the first kill that they get, and that is going to be it. Yato goes down, though, and they've traded things out at least 1 for 1. They've gained control over the objective, as they've now forced Barrack off as well. They have to play a little bit more passive. Gotta wait for the Makoa to come back. This is how they seem to want to play it on the side of Snap'n, tossing out axes, cripples, everything, the whole 9 yards on the side of the Grover, but doesn't find much damage to be plugged in, except if it's into a con shield.
You can already see how uncomfortable YeezyPogChamp are feeling stepping anywhere onto that point. I mean, having a solo tank con will do that to you. This YeezyPogChamp team wants to win these fights and then go back and build up some percentage. They have been a little bit further forward than Snap'n have been, but haven't been able to build up almost any percentage. A big whirlwind here might just be enough for Snap'n to get the first point. There's really no fight on the other side. YeezyPogChamp really feeling the pressure of not having that extra tank, I think, here, and Khan just not going to be able to keep up.
Yo, there's just no way for them to try and contest that triple kill for Penguin. Pulling back the bowstring, letting the arrow fly, and he's found 3 bodies, 3 targets that have been hit. And Shaolin is going to be the story for right now. Beautiful triple kill from Penguin on the Shaw. as you already see that YeezyPogChamp, they're sort of reeling. This is the second time in a row they've tried to pull this thing off. They've tried to do the triple DPS composition. They try to have it work, and you have Yado that gets pulled right on in, hook, lined, and finished, if anything, as Androxus goes down shortly after through time and space. The Sentinels, Lasada Vivian, beautiful cripple axe as well, stops Ratatouille from getting away and ends up cementing the kill on the Sin Cara. I don't think triple DPS, and we've said this so many times on regular broadcast, and we'll say it again during the World Championship, triple DPS does not work if you are going into a traditional composition. Too many health bars to blow.
It's hard.
I don't care who you are. We saw it last time trying to work out with Zen, and it didn't. It's too difficult to try and pull this off. They have to use these ultimates just to defend so they can get a breather and hope to build it back up before anything bad goes, anything goes awry. Woodknock is low though, and they use the accursed arm as well. But the whirlwind had already countered things out. It just didn't matter. They get picked off. Yado, Sin Cara both go down. Ballamaria is at least able to get the last hit onto Makoa, but they just roll it right on in. 2-0 for Snappin' already. Can they stop this seemingly endless streak of YeezyPogChamp? It seems like they can.
Yeah, not if you're not going to be doing much winning if the only kills you have are on Reincarnated, who's died 3 times to the rest of his team's 0. And that's just, the Makoa's the one who's front and center. He's throwing out the hooks. The rest of his team is following up, and that's just been it. Reincarnated, he's the role player here in this game. So 1, 3, and 4, I just don't think does it justice. I got to give props to Bones as well. I think in the last couple of games, or game and a half, I suppose, if we're looking at the previous game and the first 2 points on this one, this Grover has looked fantastic for Bones. I mean, big healing numbers, big the unseen, the cripples, the roots, the lockdown, the setup, I think has been there as well. And YeezyPogChamp just hasn't had an answer. I mean, look at that. Bones, the support, yeah, he's not only going to heal, he's going to set up some kills for the rest of your team. The Snappin' squad is starting to surge.
It's already moving. Okay. He's just effectively not doing much with that Ancient Rage, but at least he gets the overpower con. Sin Cara manages to find one. Doesn't even need to use the final push to give him the shove all the way out of bounds. But Penguin is going to be killed. Makoa is so low through time and space. Tries to catch the Grover, forces him off of the point. Vine Grip had to get used just to escape, as they have now forced them off of the objective, but nobody's really been able to touch. They just get there and just sit themselves down. They're trying to see what they can do against YeezyPogChamp. Snappin', come right onto the objective, drop the Dome Shield, and they force out the Koga Ultimate, which is a beautiful counter to that, honestly. The Cripple Axe manages to root so many. They still don't find the kills. They live despite all of that with a Genos healer. The Battle Shout kept them alive for a little bit longer. Stigma has to find a way out as the Accursed Arm gets used. They're trying to fight in the back line. The Whirlwind counters out everything, but they still get the kill despite all that. 54% to 87.
Oh man, the Domino's gonna start to roll here though. A couple kills for Snappin' is gonna be looking great for their 3rd point here. No way, Mwadak. Little extra shielding's not gonna get it done this time around. Overtime will slowly weave down and expire, and Snappin' on top 3-0 here on Shadow Desert. We seem destined for a game 5 at this point. Bones still undying. It's you know, there are worlds and there are situations where, you know, maybe triple DPS has a better chance into a traditional composition, but not the specific picks, I don't think, that Snappin' have and the way that Snappin' have been playing. I mean, it has just been massive percentage deficit because this Barrack has been able to sit on the point, build up 70-something%. YeezyPogChamp then realize, damn guys, we got to go like now. I don't care if we're not in the position we want to be, and we have to go. And then they go, and then it's awkward. And then Snappin' are able to kind of counterplay those awkward fights. It's more consistent right now from Snappin', I think, in the draft. Don't be surprised, Fawn, if this one goes in for the 4-0.
No, I'm not surprised at all, Dave. That's what it seems like it's heading towards right now. Through time and space goes out, but I think the draft, this game may have been decided at the draft, if anything. Khan makes it his way back onto the point, uses the Battle Shout, but I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to last. He gets killed right off in victory for Snappin'. 2-2 tie and a 4-0 at that. I mean, you can't ask for a better situation if you're on the side, if you're on the opposite team, if you're on Snappin's side, you're feeling good about yourself. This is exactly what you want.
I almost don't need to see how Game 5 goes to just give Bones my my MVP of the set. I mean, easy to forget the way the first couple of games gone. Wadak goes huge on Frog Isle quad there, but I think if you give an MVP to somebody on a consistent basis, at least over the last 2 games consistent, I think has been making the biggest difference. I think Bones on this Grover has really been doing it all. I mean, decent damage numbers as far as, you know, a support, a healer would go. Big setup numbers, big healing numbers, the intangibles, the CC, the cripples, the things that don't have those numbers. I suppose assists are the numbers that back those up. Bones playing this Grover, and the rest of Snappin playing those picks the way they are, I think they're somehow now the favorites to win this set going into Game 5.
Well, only time we'll be able to tell that. Meanwhile, while we wait for that next game, let's hand it right back to the desk to get some analysis.
Thank you, Fawn and Dave. Game 5, once again, here for YeezyPogChamp. In this one, I mean, it looks like a team that has been really, really successful despite being the lowest seed coming into this. But Gore now all of a sudden, I mean, if you would have zoomed out and said, hey, you're going to go to Game 5 against Snappin, they're probably pretty happy because they're 1 game away from moving on to the finals. But that's without realizing that YeezyPogChamp was up 2-0 in this set and now find themselves in a Game 5 must-win situation, and Snappin is coming off back-to-back 4-0 victories.
Yeah, that's the real downside. And I might be wrong, I might be misremembering, but I know they played on Shattered Desert earlier today and lost on it. I can't remember if they picked it. But either way, this was YeezyPogChamp's choice. They wanted to come here after losing that last map to Snappin. And so seeing it be a 4-0 makes me wonder, and I was talking about this you know, in between the games, that I was a little stressed at them. It was when Snappin got this 2-0. I'm worried about their map depth. You know, we talk a lot about champion pool and having a lot of flexibility there, and I think that's what YeezyPogChamp have down, but I'm wondering how many maps they know well enough to continue competing at the level they have. Earlier, when it got to Game 5, they went to Fish Market. That's been banned out by Snappin, and so moving forward, I think that's something that is definitely going to hurt them. If the map bans continue to go against them as time goes forward, you will have to play on some you're not good on, and right now I'm convinced Jag Falls, Shattered Desert, if you're YeezyPogChamp, you don't want to go there. You need a vacation somewhere else, and with maps like Bright Marsh still out of there, you have to you know, reach a little further down into the depths as to where you're going to be going. And that's where things are going to get shaky. So I think going forward, while this is another great performance from Snappin, I think the map is the winner overall. If YeezyPogChamp, and you know, we see them, whether it's in finals, whether it's, you know, in the next set down there in the lower semis, then it doesn't matter. If these 2 maps are ones they consistently lose on, then we know where the real issue has come down. They just didn't practice everything that they could have, and coming into a championship, that's how the carpet can get pulled out from underneath your feet.
Map selection has been huge so far. I'm very excited to see what our 5th map is going to be in this set. I was going to say, I don't think Stone Keep was banned, and we haven't seen it, and that's exactly where we go in Stone Keep. Just looking at how the maps are played, Gore, does Stone Keep feel like something that this team in YeezyPogChamp could be a little bit more successful on? Something a little bit closer to a map like Frog Isle or Splitstone, or does it fall more in the Jag Falls, Shattered Desert area?
It's weird. I think it is, again, it closely simulates in my mind Jag Falls in terms of like the layout, or at least the strategies that you can use for it. Some different comps, but for the most part, things that work on Jag Falls can also work on Stone Keep. And there's definitely different choke points. You want something that can maybe take away the high ground as opposed to going for some deep flanks. Long range can still be applicable here, so snipers aren't necessarily off the table. And this is one that, based on what I've seen the last 2 games, I'd say favors Snappin's style of play just a little bit more, but it definitely brings things back to normalcy. This is, in my mind, when it comes to Paladins, the most standard map. I think every game, like if you were just going to put things in a vacuum and you wanted to test it, you should test it on Stone Keep, because it is about as neutral as you get for everybody involved. There's ways to win the game on both sides of the mid-fight, as well as both sides' defense and offense on the payload. So there's a lot of flexibility for this map and what can really make sure things work.
May the better team win is where we are. 1 game separates both of these teams from a finals berth, and a 1-game advantage over whoever would meet them there. Absolutely monumental set here between these two, as Khan is going to be the first pick. Makoa Rom banned by YeezyPogChamp, and Torvald, and you guessed it, Sky banned here by Snappin. Do you feel like YeezyPogChamp's done enough by forcing this Sky ban? I mean, have they been able to finagle picks and bans to getting more because every enemy team is banning Sky? Because I feel like their compositions aren't that much nuttier now that an off ban needs to come through. It seems like they're getting about what everyone else is getting, just with an extra off ban for the other team.
It's heavily dependent, I think, on what YeezyPogChamp themselves ban. I think the last couple of games we've noticed, like, if they ban the things that are going to perform best on that, especially when you're first pick, it's one of my pet peeves that comes through, right, is that you're then now in a position where you don't necessarily come into this with a distinct advantage. I mean, getting Khan over Barrick Grover, I don't know if it really screams to me advantage. I don't think it really screams disadvantage. I think at the end of the day, it's maybe a little more neutral. He is solid on this map, though, and granted, with Makoa, Torvald, as well as this Rom being banned away, and Nara not getting picked up a whole ton by teams today, I think Khan has a good matchup in like the Barracks, the Fernandos, so he's going to be solid there. It's really where these supports come through. With Corvus, Genos, and Io coming through, I expect this Io to be able to live up and beyond what we've seen so far.
And no Genos quite yet. We've heard what Dave thought about Bones on this Grover and how impactful he has been. That's exactly where he's going to go back to. Shaolin has been the pick for Penguin, and that's a direction that we could still see Snap and go, but now would have to deal with an Androxus on the other side. And it is a bow user, but it's a crossbow user, and it's Cassie, the selection here for Snap It instead. Gore, which of these compositions is finals deserving? Which one you think's moving on?
Man, I think on Stonekeep, YeezyPogChamp, this is a draft that will hold its own. Like, they will, that is a pry it from my cold dead hands kind of draft. That is a draft that does not want to let go. And if there's anything that can do it, I think the Kinessa and Cassie are the ones, especially with a Ruckus, that can push forward. I think that flank is going to be the most dependent. But we saw it earlier from Snappin, what this Ruckus can do in the right hands. I think they have the right hands on their side. And so I'm going to give them the edge because of that. I think they have a little more play potential, even though YeezyPogChamp definitely have the survivability and the longevity on their side of the table. A lot of the tankiness, a lot of that survivability, it's going to be necessary here because I don't think Snappin are going to make it easy for them.
Well, a reverse sweep, is it in the cards here for Snappin? A finals berth on the line. Let's crown one of our first finalists for North America.
Stonekeep, the final map we will be heading to in this set. My goodness. 4 absolute bangers. The 5th one, I have no doubt it's going to be a banger as well. Fawn and Dolson back at you once again. As this is it. Dolson, I mean, one of these guys, one is going to lose, one is going to win and move on to the finals.
One final time. We'll see these two teams do that. I suppose one final time. I guess there's a world where we maybe see both of them in the finals, depending on how the losers bracket match goes. Snappin did what they needed to do. They internalized one match at a time. Bones nearly gets the insta-kill. Actually, on the fadeaway from Voluntary, nearly gets an axe in there. I think Snappin keep the core of what has been working for them. Bones on Grover, one of those things. Barrick being an important pick for them, another one of those things. Now, gonna have to contest with the Luna. But Fawn, it's already not really mattering. It's already 60% in climbing for Snappin, which is not what you expect and not what you want when you have a Luna on your team.
78% for Snappin already, and yeah, you're 100% right. I haven't even seen Luna. Luna's been stuck up there the whole time. There hasn't been one situation where they feel comfortable enough to even drop Luna onto the point. Terminus goes to try and contest, but he's just eating so much damage. Ruckus is in the back line trying to see if he can take care of Androxus, but even still, he's being forced so far back. Androxus is going to go down. Yano Acosta is gone. And that puts such a huge damper in the forces of YeezyPogChamp.
Snapping at 99%, YeezyPogChamp suddenly feeling like they might have a bit of an opening. Mwadak unchecked up on the high ground, largely left untouched by Snappin there. Overtime's going to expire here, and this is something to be concerned about if you're Snappin or a Snappin fan. It's that this health bar on this Vivian has been full for the last 30, 45 seconds, untouched. Nobody's gotten in there to try to deal with her. And that's why we're about to head to a 99-99 overtime, and everything hangs in the balance.
And they've managed to somehow keep this even. A situation that seemed to be so bad, they trade things out 1 for 1. Be Gone gets used, pushes Barrick down to the point just for a little bit of extra damage. No one else is really able to touch except for the Khan. comes in off screen, manages to get directly onto the point. They cause the overtime, and Yato actually meant just to get one. This might be a little bit better for him, but I don't think anyone else can really contest here. And they really can't, except for, I guess the Androxes. They stalled long enough for Terminus to make his way back, but even still, the Grover is enough to keep Monarch down. Ball and Berry, Dunzo, put a fork in him, if anything. And the next one is Ratatouille. Nothing to cook up here except for an L. Snappin take this one 1-0.
And it's again, I mean, at some point it's ad nauseum, but it's the overwhelming point percentage that YeezyPogChamp have to consistently be fighting back into. I mean, if you look at the first block of point capture there from Snappin, just thanks to this Barracks chilling there, it was like 80%. So they were able to get like 20% down the stretch there when things really started to warm up, whereas YeezyPogChamp had a lot of it done. And already not what you want to see on defense. The fact that this card has made its way this far in is very difficult. Granted, the ultimate prize is getting this payload converted, and that's where the defense is a little bit easier when you get that high ground straight shot. Bones is going to get pulled in, but he is not going to die. These small moments are things that Snappin will make you pay for. Stigma with a couple, Woodknock with one. This cart keeps moving.
Already Terminus in a bad spot, getting really surrounded by everyone. The Siphon's the only thing keeping himself alive for a little bit longer, but obviously not much because he has to find some sort of way back out. He moves back in, actually, kept himself alive thanks to the IO heal. A little bit is gonna just be enough for him to escape that, but even still, Snappin, look how far in everyone is. They're rolling the cart right on forward, and it's hard for YeezyPogChamp to make do with anything. They even have the Hexafire. They're trying to put damage onto the Androxus. It's hard for him to even fight against that Ruckus. That extra shielding is a little bit too much as he dashes up, use the nether steps to escape, and they rolled the cart right on Instant. Kara and Ratatouille were the only ones contesting. I wasn't expecting them to do that. I thought other people would have been ready to touch.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the death timers there as that gets converted. Ratatouille dead, Sankara dead, nobody else really in range. I mean, there is some value, I think, to realizing that, you know, if the closest tank to respawning is still 5 seconds away, all we're doing is feeding ultimate charge over to Snap, and if we jump down on in. So I think there's something to be said for YeezyPogChamp realizing that defense just wasn't going to happen. But I mean, this is an absurd hot streak that we haven't seen yet here today in North America. I mean, YeezyPogChamp have obviously been playing well. I think there's got to be Bones maybe hasn't died in like 3 games. I'm trying to remember the last time I've seen a death in the Bones column there. But this Snappin' team has suddenly come alive after going down 0-2 in this set. And admittedly, I don't want to play against them. I don't know if anyone wants to play against these guys right now. Mwadak is the big key here. He went big for YeezyPogChamp on the last mid-fight. If this Vivian can stay where she's at and there's enough peel to keep her from getting dove, I think YeezyPogChamp have a much better chance on the mid.
Yeah, and we see that being the case literally right now. They have the Hexafire. I wonder if that's what he's going around to try and do. He's trying to put pressure onto Androxus, just make it a little bit more dangerous. Touches just to stop Luna, but Luna gets the stun. Good girl, if anything. And they manage to get that kill. Barrett puts the barricade up, and they, of course, find the shot into Vivian, but things have turned around. YeezyPogChamp with the comeback mechanic is going to be enough to make this a 1-2 against Snap and Overpower. Bring yourself over here, right into the open arms of Khan. The Magistrate wants to collect a bounty. Ball and Berry gets the last hit as Yato Acosta is, of course, there with the accursed arm, ready to move. Reversal goes up, but the Terminus Siphon is also the insurance.
Might literally have been the first time I've seen a Luna composition or the YeezyPogChamp Luna composition do what it wants to do. I mean, they just stuck Luna down on the point, were able to work forward and fight outside of that. They didn't really change all that much, still high ground dominated. Sometimes just hitting your shots a little better, as cliche as that is, suddenly turns around a play that should work, but didn't last time, into something that works out here. So the YeezyPogChamp finally feeling a little bit of life here in this pivotal Game 5. And they're starting to take it to Snappin' on the defense as well. This Kinessa's going to be massive from up here in the back line, able to play around these sight lines so well. But don't count your defensive chickens just yet, Snappin'. This payload has not got far to go, and it's got plenty of time to do it. And YeezyPogChamp have the ultimates to get him across that finish line. So this one, I think, comes down to the wire yet again.
I agree with that, Dave. I mean, I think that seeing them force them out like this, they're playing around sight lines that Stigma can't see, and when they have, they've actually been able to manage a very, very clean and concise damage numbers and great positioning to help roll the cart forward, just taking control of things while remaining out of line of sight, and they've been able to do that. They trade out Ratatouille, of course, but he even uses the res. They want to tie this up. They want to make this a 2-2 and overpower on the Grover off of high ground. Stigma scrambling, trying to see if he can find the shot into anyone. They even take care of Barrick in the long run of things. Volunberry goes down, but do they even need their healer at this point? That's the question here. Ruckus is there, trying to see if he can push in. He might have to back out. Yano Acosta just another stepping to see if he can get that healing remaining to him as they're trying to see if they can find the fights. Reversal goes up. Shield was down as well. So they aren't going to be able to find that pick on Khan. Stigma killed. Same thing this can be said for the Ruckus, as now the Barrack has just now made it back to the objective, and they kill him and force it off the use of only one ultimate. Granted, the reanimate is huge, but that's great, not having to use more than one ultimate.
Yeah, that's big value there. And YeezyPogChamp will be happy to take that. Going into this mid, obviously, you know, you want the reanimate, but if this mid goes the same way it did last time, you don't care that you don't have that reanimate. I mean, reanimate is very reactive. Reanimate is I'm losing this fight and want to be back into it, and that's not what happened in the last mid fight. YeezyPogChamp just straight up won it. So I think if any ultimate is going to get used, you're probably feeling okay that it's that one. It does take a little while to charge up. Obviously, you like to do it without having to use the reanimate, but definitely easier for them to deal with. Healing numbers, big difference. Suddenly a big turnaround. Ball and Barry about 40,000 ahead of what Bones has been providing, if my quick math checks out here. So that's huge. That's giving YeezyPogChamp a big chance. The worrying trend now is we're seeing another flip. We're Snapping are suddenly the ones starting to control some of the point.
This seems like 6% to 24. Things are starting to get a little bit more heavy for YeezyPogChamp to make this fight work for them, considering the fact they just lost Ratatouille. They also managed to kill Luna, so that's even more unfortunate, as the percentages seem to be tied up. But who will break the tie here? Yano Acosta goes down, tries to escape, but Ruckus was already waiting behind him. Io has to find some sort of way to heal him. Siphon goes up as well, so the heal is no longer necessary. They do manage to peel for the Khan and allow him to get back to at least a decent amount of health, at least half at the most. But Mwadok gets killed on his way out. He wasn't trying to hold on to that line of sight. He just wanted to try and see if he could find some way to slowly back out of there. The Cursed Arm in the back line, try to see if he can stop Ruckus, get any sort of kill, but Ratatouille gets taken down thanks to Stigma, finds the shot. Will they find the Khan? They do. 99% to 21 as Snappin managed to make things even for them. Be gone as well. It's just a Hail Mary of ultimates at this point. They're at least able to find one. Yano at least got Ruckus, but that doesn't account for the cart currently being captured.
What a game 5 we're getting here. I mean, this seems like the way this one could have ended with how close the set was. Snappin' were just starting to steamroll a little bit in the last couple of games. I was hoping that this one would be close, and it sure has been. Snappin' have the chance to win it here. I think really big in that mid-fight was Stigma, and the fact that the Kinessa started to get going again in a way that she didn't last time. Aggressive positioning there with the teleporter, but look what it's done, Fawn. It's opened up a bit of space in the backline for Snappin' to move in.
And it seems like they got the disengaged bolt, didn't quite knock him off of anything, but they are at least, I see, applying some sort of focus to Ruckus, but Ruckus was just ignoring the Terminus, just went straight for Sankara. They got the kill, they dropped down, see if they can even find that kill on Terminus, and they do, but he has to use the res. They don't really have much of a choice, and they even lose Mwadok. That res no longer has any value. You lost teammates as you were using it. It's just not going to have the same sort of effect. Overpower gets used. They managed to at least catch one. I believe tossed him off of the side. That is going to be Stigma down, as now the Grover has to find some sort of way out. Barrett gets killed as well, and the score is now still 3-2. But the cart is so close to finishing and putting Snappin' in the finals.
Yeah, and I just do kind of a preliminary look across those ultimates. Be Gone, I guess, is going to get close here, and you know, Hexafire there shortly after. I mean, there's a minute left, so it really just depends on how long this push takes. But at the moment, neither team has anything, and those are so big, so important. Really, the overpower, I think, big difference maker. Dome Shield for Snappin', the other big difference maker. Neither of those looking like they'll be ready to go, except for maybe just in that overtime period. I think Stigma holds the weight now. for Snappin'. If this Kinessa from way in the back can make these backliners for YeezyPogChamp uncomfortable, that's the best chance Snappin' have moving on to the finals.
Well, you say make the backliners uncomfortable, Dave, but I think the frontliners might even be in a worse off spot. But Yato finds 2. What is he going to be able to do towards the tail end? This reversal goes out. He found the kills. Though that double kill on Yato might be enough. They force out the Ruckus as well, and Io is healing him alive. Will he get the kill on the Ruckus? Terminus comes around. Life insurance policy in the form of the Siphon, and that's going to be great, because that's going to allow them to not only hold on to the advantage that they have currently, they break down the barricade, make it even worse for them to try and hold on. They have to make sure they can do what they can at the tail end of this fight. That's what they need. They need to make things even for him. Siphon is still up, absorbing as much damage as they possibly can. The Be Gone is there. They want to move in. They manage to get the stun, I believe, on 2 members and forces them out. They catch Ruckus on the way out. Yato Acosta with a double kill earlier turns this around for his team. YeezyPogChamp, they're still trying to do what they can. Overtime is there. They force Barrack off and get the final kill. The score is tied now at 3-3 for a final point to see who goes to the finals.
I mean, of course, right? Of course we get a 0.7 in a game 5. Why don't we? I mean, we deserve it here today. Absolutely. This is what, 3 out of 4 sets we've had have gone 5 games. I mean, this has been a wild day over in North America. I was wondering there towards the end, and we kind of have God view. We can see what all the ult charges are at for both teams. Obviously, but the teams have a good idea. Overpower is going to be coming up soon. Those sorts of things. There was a small window of just 10, 15 seconds maybe where Snappin' had almost all of their ultimates ready to go, if not all of them, and YeezyPogChamp only had the Be Gone. I was wondering if Snappin' were aware enough of that they were just going to go right then and there and try to end the game. Only spend the Scout, only spend the Whirlwind. Big ultimates, yes. Not necessarily backbreaking here. They've got some big staying power. Unfortunately, Sin Cara still has the overpower, and it catches Stigma.
Them being able to get that pick on Stigma is pretty big. They force back the Barrack and actually manage to interrupt his dash. They have the Hexafire on the side of Ruckus. Woodknock is in the back. They know that he's back there. He has to back up. And if anybody gets picked off, they have to answer him at that point. They don't want to get another member picked off if he's just chilling in the back line. He's hoping that they ignore him so he can get a good Hexafire off, but he turns around, puts up the reversal, and Androxus is at least able to keep him pinned for a little bit. They just want to keep him back. As soon as that emitter's gone, that shield's no longer there. It's going to be Curtains, a Cursed Arm in the back line. Ratatouille manages to find the kill onto Barrack. They end up getting the kill off of the Reanimate.
Oh, they tried.
And the rest of Snappin', they have to back off. It's not going to be enough for them. The cripple goes out. They manage to catch out Yato Acosta, the Accursed Arm, just to keep Ruckus back there. Yato's doing an amazing job at keeping Ruckus pinned, but they do get the kill on the tail end of that, and they lost one. And they've traded things out sort of 1-for-1, but Barrack's already back. They're using the Hexfire as well, just on one target. They need to be able to keep this lead. They managed to get a Woodknock. Is so low, though. 90% already for Snap and his Terminus. That's fine, sort of way back in. Be Gone gets used. They force him back, and Luna's on the point, capturing 1-for-1 trade. Already, Woodknock goes down. Now it's coming down to the wire. Here, 99% to 84. Stigma found 2 kills already. Their healer is down. Terminus has to make it on. Mwadok gets the kill immediately on the Stigma. Mwadok is still holding on along with his frontliner. Stigma finds the shot, and that might be all she wrote for now. Yato can't make it. Snappin' make this one a 4-3 and send themselves to the finals.
Oh my, what a way for this set to turn around. 2-0 up. Go YeezyPogChamp, and you're thinking the Cinderella story is going to continue here for your 4th-seeded team in North America, but the turnaround is there from Snappin'. A couple back-to-back really quick games, and then a 7-point game here in game number 5. The Snappin' team, obviously now in the finals, they're going to be waiting to see. I mean, if Snappin' go up against YeezyPogChamp, I think they're probably feeling comfortable about their chances. Unsure. We'll see what Pickle Pepper can do in our next set.
Well, overall close game. We get to 0.7, we get to game 5, and now the set's already done. You have your team moving on to the finals. Let's toss it back to the desk for some analysis.
Well, it took the whole distance. Snappin' did not waste a single point. Takes them game 5, reverse sweep option, all the way up to 0.7. They punched their ticket to the finals here in North America. Gore, it was down to the literal wire, but once again, I feel like I've got to talk about Woodknock on this Ruckus. He continues to create unbelievable space on this pick.
And it's something that we used to see. Again, you go back to the great sets that you've seen in Paladins. Ruckus has always been one of the big factors, and I think it does so much here because of how it works in tandem, with the Cassie, with this Kinessa, in that it creates so much space. It can either set up the damage to give the kill shot away over here to Stigma, or, vice versa. Maybe Stigma hits them hard up front, and then the Ruckus gets to come through. I think what you're highlighting is absolutely crucial, and again, when you look at Phoenix, you look at Rubu, you look at a lot of these great players that we've had, world champions in the past, it has been on the back of this Ruckus. He has been big at every world championship, and I'm glad to see that he's continuing to show his face here in North America as of right now. Woodknock, I think, making a huge splash for them, and just good shots. I had mentioned in picks and bans that you can go long range on this map, Stigma being able to pull out the Kinessa, and it's been difficult. There was a time, and this is a while ago, so people probably don't remember it, where Kinessa's scope was not anywhere near as zoomed in as it was. And she was way too easy to play on every map. And then they adjusted that zoom, and it's not easy to deal with that zoom that you have there, especially on maps like Stone Keep. But Stigma at 15, 8, and 12 makes it look good.
Makes it work. Highest kill total in the game, tied with Yato Acosta on the other side, who put up 100,000 damage. Muadak not far behind. Stigma and Penguin each above that 100K mark as well. An incredible set from YeezyPogChamp, but they've got to find a way to mentally bounce back now here, Gore, because they just lost a game where a set they were up 2-0. They could sniff the finals from where they were, and now they have to drop down and beat up on a team they've already had to beat today in Pickled Pepper, but one that took them all 5 to get it done. YeezyPogChamp have now played the maximum amount of games that they could have played so far today, and at some point, I feel like you've got to factor in fatigue, though Pickled Pepper is in the exact same boat. 3-2 against YeezyPogChamp, then 3-2 on their side up against Sanguine and the losers. So both these teams probably coming in a little tired.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that you're going to, like you said, the fatigue that's going to have to be factored in. I think a lot of map changes that have come through. Pickled Pepper probably learned a lot, not only in their set versus YeezyPogChamp, but also against their set against Sanguine, being able to barely hold on there. The fact that you just lost 3 in a row, I think showcasing that even when you're down 2-0, you can't count out the reverse sweep, as we always say. But like you said, that adds in the tilt factor, right? Not just fatigue. You take that last one to 7 points, but you just lost, 8 points in a row. Then you finally push it the distance again and lose. You start to lose a little bit of the mental in that case, at least if you're me. So this will showcase how strong they are and how elastic they are in terms of their capabilities to bounce back.
Well, congratulations to Snap-In. They move on. They are just 2 maps away from being your North American champions here in 2020. But who will face them? Make sure you stick around to find out.